Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scrutiny Commission of the 28th of September 2023, starting at 6:30. I think we'll get on if we can. Just a few introductions. We have officer-wise, we have Liz Elliott here, our interim chief exec, Julie Young, our interim head of legal services, Claire Patterson is online, she's our monitoring officer. And then from Democratic Services, we have Catherine Parsons and Christine Elsas. If I've got your names, was name correct and their position correct. Member-wise, we have Councillor Elliott, Councillor Burrell, Councillor Gare, Councillor James, Councillor Page, Councillor Dan, Councillor Rickman, Councillor Bateman, and myself, Councillor Hallam, in the chair. From the point of view of the meeting will be recorded and live streamed by HDC, and members and officers must use the addressable microphones in order for this to work. Only 2 microphones, in addition to the channels, can be on at the same time, so could you please remember to turn them off when you're not using them. Mobile phones, please could you either silence them or turn them off. And the fire exits should, well, we're there and there. So, and as far as I know, there's not supposed to be a fire alarm practice. So if it goes, I would suggest we leave. On to agenda part 2. Apologies for absence, and I have one, which is Councillor Foreman. I don't believe there's anybody else. Everybody else is present. And then on to agenda 3 is declarations of members' interests. Do we have any of those? No. Okay. Right. On to the minutes of the last Scrutiny Commission meeting, which was on the 27th of June, 23. Has everybody read the minutes? Do they think they are a true and correct record of what happened that? Assuming no one's. So is it your wish I sign the minutes as a correct record then?
It's your choice, Chair, whichever way you want to.
The mention of the work plan within the minutes. So if we could go to that first and then move forward to the report, that would be great. Just realised I haven't got my glasses on. And the writing's a little bit short and small. I won't be able to see them down. If you wouldn't mind this.
Okay, so members, and you've got a hard copy because it's hot off the press today, the work plan. It will be put onto the website so that the public can view it as part of the papers for this meeting as well. I've taken the work plan that you discussed at your last meeting. There was no allocation to different meeting dates or to different panels on that with regard to the subjects that we agreed on the work plan. I've taken all of the subjects that you'd agreed in there and looked at what officer capability and delivery for reporting, etc., and the timing of those is required. There were a couple of other things in there that you'll see. The Reg 18 consultation for the local plan needs to come to scrutiny. What we've also done is added in some extra dates. All the reserved dates for scrutiny have been included, and the 2nd of November date has been moved to the 16th of November to allow for the Reg 18 work to be completed in time for scrutiny to look at that. And we felt that that was an important change of date because the scrutiny panel will need to look at that in detail, and we don't want anything to impinge on the timeline for the local plan. We wanted to just make sure we've got that in the right date for you there. So if we have a look at the work plan, you will see that we've started off with the previous work plan for 22-23 because we did have one meeting of the April committees in panels in there, but we've then put them forward to the new panels with a new composition of the panels with a chair and vice to be confirmed. at the first meeting. So I've put forward as there were 4 meetings for the performance panel. You will note that there is no finance or performance management information in there because at the last meeting we decided that would be done in a different way and wouldn't be coming forward to scrutiny. We would be looking at how we issued that to members differently as briefing notes for members rather than it coming to scrutiny. What I've also included in there is that we invite or summons the portfolio holder to be part of the presentation of the report, because that's what in the last meeting you suggested that was something as a scrutiny commission you felt was important to hold cabinet to account and get them to come along to present their reports. And in addition to that, the portfolio holder that will be there to present the report, I've included an update on the general portfolio holder areas for you within all of the 2 different panels, so you'll get a portfolio holder update in both panels, and you can then potentially we can put the Pentana dashboard so that you can have a look at that. We can send you some information prior to that. You can formulate some questions with regard to that particular portfolio holder area, and you can question and get some further information from that cabinet member with regard to that. So each time they are attending, I've put in portfolio holder update. You'll see on the 7th of December meeting there's a wellbeing and a corporate, but I've put in corporate because on the February meeting there's a wellbeing, so we don't want, otherwise a wellbeing portfolio holder will be giving you another update. So I've spread it out so that over the period of the year you get an update from each one of the cabinet members. The only one that isn't in there is the cabinet member for finance, but we do have the joint budget scrutiny committee panel meetings. I suspect you'll be holding the finance cabinet member to account through that particular joint committee there. So with that, Chair, if you wanted to have a look at the suggested work plan and any comments or thoughts on it, I can take away and do some amendments. But as it stands, these are the reports that officers feel that you need to see. So this would be the starting of the work plan. And if you felt there was more things to add, we would add more to it rather than take any of these off, if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think you all agreed that having cabinet members come forth to the meetings was a good idea. So I hope there'll be no problem with the panel of that. And whilst they're here getting a précis of what they're doing, what's going on, will be even better. And it gives more members an insight as to what's going on in the cabinet. So I hope you all agree that's a good suggestion coming forward. So if we go back to the actual the work plan and stuff, we'll start with page 1 and you can go through.
That's really informative. Yeah,
page 2. Sorry, go through to page 2. And we'll start off at the top with the climate action plan update and carbon emission targets. Receive an update and work on some targets. And then below that, this portfolio update, obviously on site from Councillor Woodward. I presume there's no problem with that, or we have a question. That's right.
Yes, thank you. Now I'm a little bit confused, but never mind that for the time being. So we are talking, we're talking performance panel of 4 meetings up to April. Yes. So now, and I've just got to get my head around it. So then the budget and the performance meeting will be separate meetings. Yes. Alongside that, so there will be one has to be fitted in before Christmas and kind of one after, in a way, or do they both have to go into the new year? That's question number 1.
So the budget scrutinies are already in the meeting plan that was agreed at annual council, and they will be taking place in January and February. So the 25th of January is joint budget overview and scrutiny panel. So it's a joint one. That's the first one on the budget. And then there's a second one on the 15th of February for joint budget overview and scrutiny panels in case we need a second one. So they're already in the diary and already committed to just purely budget.
So then my next question, if I may. So how are we fitting in performance measuring within these
So
Four dates.
we agreed at the last meeting that the finance quarterly and the quarterly performance management reports would not come to scrutiny any longer, and that we would hold the individual performance of cabinet members to account, and we would look to how we gave that performance management information to all members instead of it coming to scrutiny. So you can, you'll get some finance updates from the finance team, and also anything on the performance you can all get through Pentana, and we'll send out some member briefing to all members around that quarterly. So it won't come to scrutiny anymore.
So when I looked on Pentana earlier on, there are 4 reds on the Pentana. So how will scrutiny then raise these, these issues of 4 items being red? How are they going to do that?
So they can interrogate the portfolio holders when they come to see what they're doing, and they can look at Pentana on that. If you've got questions on those, you don't have to wait for scrutiny. You can go to your shadow portfolio holder for that particular area, who then can get you information about it, or your portfolio holder if you're in the coalition group, and you should be using your portfolio holders for you to raise concerns about those if you've got issues, or you can do members' inquiries, or you can raise concerns yourself directly. You don't need to wait for a quarterly report to tell you. If you see something on Pentana you have concerns with, ask for more information via those different channels.
I'm glad that's on the record. Now, my last question on the work plan is, we have got a set of policies, standard items like community safety, RIPA, anti-bullying policies, and whatever else. So how are we going to have a list within the work plan? Because are then the items we are going to have on an ongoing basis that have to be scrutinised, are we having them in a way listed somewhere so they can be slotted in? Do we have a 1 to 3 important schedule, or how are we going to work that? Thank you.
So the only one of those that you have to see is the RIPA, and we are looking at how often we report RIPA, because you don't need to see it all the time as often, because it takes 5 minutes and you go, nothing to see.
Yeah.
So it's almost a waste of officers' time and to create that report, and waste of this committee's time to look at it. We're looking at how often we would do that, and then we'll slot it in to the appropriate committee at the appropriate time when it needs reporting.
And how about things like community safety or any other policies?
So community safety update is on there already.
Yeah.
We aren't reviewing any policies at the moment on that. If there are any policy reviews that are coming forward, then they will be put on the work plan as needed. But at the moment, there isn't anything else that officers feel from a policy development point of view you need to see in advance. So everything they think they're coming and working on in the next 12 months is already in this plan. So what you're saying is that the structure of the scrutiny meetings are live and they can be altered if and when, and they're not set in stone. At the discretion of the scrutiny commission to increase the work plan. So this is a bare bones of what needs to be done. If there's things tonight you think should be on here that aren't, I can take that away and look at how we can put them in. But it is a live document, because I can ask staff now, what do you think you're going to be doing in 6 months' time? And they'll say,
no.
Well, nothing, but something might change. And they go, do you know what? I need to review that policy now. It needs to go to scrutiny. So it is live and evolving. But this is the things we know about now to give you a structure to the work plan, and we can add in more to it. But we need to be mindful of the time and capacity of scrutiny to make sure that we aren't overburdening the committees and making them long and too in detail. But equally, what we can do is, while we've got those things that we want to look at, we are building the work plan for next year as well.
Yeah, and I assume it's linked with the forward plan with the cabinet's agenda as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. I believe Councillor Dansley next, but just before he comes in, I believe we've got a new date for the scrutiny training. Is that?
Oh, yes, sorry. 13th of November is the revised date for the scrutiny training. I believe that we're sending out an email today, or we should have sent out an email today, or at least tomorrow. We'll get something out to members for them to put it in their diaries for that scrutiny training. It's open for all members to attend. It will be recorded so that if people can't attend, then they can watch it back. And equally, even if you do attend and you want to re-watch it and there's something you're not clear on, you can watch it back again. So it's a good learning tool.
And I'm right in saying that it will include Pentana and things like that, the real.
So it doesn't currently include Pentana, but we can do separate Pentana training again. Kay did come along to the Scrutiny Commission and show you. If you've got queries on how to use Pentana, Kay is more than happy to give you instruction on that.
So,
if you want further Pentana training, I can arrange it.
So is that on a basis that if you feel that you need it, it's better to have a word with them separately?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think if you're struggling with the Pentana, obviously to print the pages, which has already been on it. So if you have need of instruction with Pentana, it's the officer.
Also, Chair, if I might say on that, what I'd like to do in the future with this the future panels is to have Pentana on the screen so that you can see the dashboard. So if, for example, we've got Councillor Woody West coming in to talk about environmental and climate change portfolio, Kay has created a portfolio for that with all of the metrics for that in there. In advance, you can go on and have a look at that. Anybody can look at it any time. You could look at it and cancel a page. You might say, well, there's a red on there. I really want to know about it. I'll quiz the portfolio holder on that when they come to the meeting, or indeed, as I've said, you can contact in advance of that. But we will start to use it as much more of an interactive tool. We need to be mindful that we don't put in a public forum anything that shouldn't be in a public forum, but we are hoping that it will be a much more interactive way of you being able to drill down, and rather than having to think about your questions in advance, actually you might go, well, what does that mean then? And you can get some further information in a more dynamic way.
Okay, sorry about that. So, Councillor Dan, your question.
Yeah, thank you. Most of my questions have been answered. I did undertake an hour's training with Kay only a couple of months ago, and it was really instructive, deep diving into all sorts of things. My question then is, if we as a scrutiny body are not going to be looking at all the forums and the whole of the council can look at it, they need to be instructed in Pentana because they will need that basic information and be able to work their way around the Pentana. It is worth doing.
I might add that we have had some Pentana training.
Yep.
I can't remember the attendance for it, but
No,
I certainly came.
Kay has done Pentana training to all members. We did a members briefing on Pentana, and I would say again, if there is a need for Pentana training, members need to let us know. If there is a need of a number of members, then we've put on a Pentana training. If it's one or two people that have got an ad hoc need for it, then we can do it that way. It's a very, in my opinion, easy and intuitive thing to do. The way Kate has set it up is you can click on pictures and then you get all the information about those pictures, and you can drill down further and you can go back up. So, and there are lots of reports. If there's something you can't find, email Kate, she'll send you a link to it, because that's what I do. So I think we'll continue to roll it out. She can start to do some more training, I'm sure, but when we get more familiar with it and start using it in these forums, actually people will get more familiar with it and how to use it and how it's being used by Kay, and the portfolio holders and shadow portfolio holders will be more familiar with it because they'll be able to look at their own dashboards. So by using it, I think we'll get familiarity and people will be curious and want to be trained on it, and we'll get some people to come forward with needs. But anybody can get any training at any time. As I said, if it's a big need, we'll put a training course on or something before council again. But individuals can absolutely approach Kay, and she'd be more than happy to do some training on it.
Right, thank you. I believe Councillor James is.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just one. Looking at the work programme for the scrutiny communities between now really and 2024. Now, during that period, it's going to be a new ledger provision contract let, I presume. And therefore, do we think that the Cabinet will give us some work to do in terms of scrutinising that before the award? Yeah.
So, no is the honest answer, because the award is part of contract procedure rules, and scrutiny has no role in contract and procurements. So we've already engaged with members prior to the contract being awarded. we are effectively down to preferred bidders now and the contract award going forward. So there's no role for scrutiny. In fact, actually, it's a council decision. So your role will be as when we bring it forward for further decisions through cabinet as well. So I think there isn't a role for scrutiny in that leisure procurement. What your role might be is in about how you deliver services from a leisure management point of view, and then the contract management of that could be part of a performance scrutiny about how we're managing the provider. But there isn't anything from a procurement point of view that you're required to do. So no involvement.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the financial aspects, then I could accept everything there. It's just the interest that would be in perhaps the provision for, you know, for the residents, the actual type of services that are being provided, the range of services.
Yeah, so that will be something that we can have a look at. Obviously, there's things like the leisure procurement is, I think, we would do an update on leisure at some point, but
It might possibly be easier if we go through the reports page by page, and then we'll get to as we come through.
We'll find it.
If that's okay, because otherwise we get so back and forth trying to find.
Yeah, no, we don't need to do that. No.
you've got the wrong
Version, councillor, sorry, are we talking about the leisure procurement with everyone active?
So it's but that's not the right version you've got.
Can I answer the question? The leisure procurement is with whoever wins the procurement.
It's now everyone active, because we scrutinised that in detail. The new contract is starting in March, and the new contractor thing, where we were told last time was supposed to be 6th of November, and then it was changed, wasn't it? If you're talking about that.
Yes, so the 6th of November date has been moved because we've now got a different report to take on at that meeting, but it does not impact on the procurement timeline at all, so it'll come to a later meeting for decision, but the implementation date of that procurement is still exactly the same. But the procurement is so far down the road, there is nothing else other than award the contract and do whatever. Yeah. Yes.
Well, it goes down, something on the vote on it. Or against it.
And that's your role then, but there isn't anything else from that. So from a leisure services provision point of view, that is something that perhaps we could look at for a future meeting. We are looking at, as part of the delivery plan and the new KPIs, an annex to the health and wellbeing strategy, which is focused on leisure. But what we probably need to do is look at that whole health and wellbeing strategy and look at the elements of that health and wellbeing strategy to make sure they are all being delivered. And you might start with leisure, but you might want to have a programme that is wider than just leisure, because health and wellbeing is so much more than just some leisure centres. So, but that's something that we can put into the future. I'll make a note that leisure and health and wellbeing is something for the community. If the communities panel is the communities panel, after your further discussion, then we can look at what we put into those panels accordingly.
Okay. Well, I'll carry on down through page 2, and we've got a light bulb update and the contact centre post implementation review. Is there anything? Okay. And then we're over page 2. I thought that was over to
February 28th of February. This one?
yes, actually. Mate. And that's the update on the wellbeing action plans and young people for BCS. And obviously the portfolio holder will have.
Yeah.
And then we move forward to the workforce strategy to review the proposed workforce strategy and make comment. Has anybody got any questions? Well, do we go with sorry? No? Okay. Or for the 27th of April, the harbour playing pitch strategy.
That's already been done.
Oh, right.
That's
been
gone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the first one is the 11th of October.
Community Safety Partnership Action Plan. Questions at all? No? Then we're on to page 5, which is the meeting on 16th November, the local plan, Reg 18, review and comment on. And then, sorry, oh, beg your pardon, Councillor Dunn, I didn't see your
It's
hand.
okay, no problem. Can I just comment on the car parking strategy, which is now being held on the 21st of March next year? It seems to me about a year later than it's planned to be. Is there any reason for that?
Yes, it's been a much more in-depth review, and we're looking at it in line with asset management as well, as just not just about what do we charge for car parking, but actually, do we need all the car parking? Do we want to promote active travel? Do we want people to come into the town centre? So it's a much wider review than it started off as. So it's has taken a lot longer. The consultants as well have taken longer to deliver the report. So we need time to review that and to look at how we could practically put those recommendations into practice before we bring it forward to you. So that's in line with where we think as officers we will be able to report to you. We don't think we'll be able to report any earlier than that.
Councillor, anyone come back on that?
Yeah, I'd take all that on board, but I really thought that's what we were doing in the first place. And I thought it was an overarching complete review, how we did, what we've shown. Next year it is.
Councillor Page, you have a question?
Yeah, Rec 19, just a suggestion, can we make that open to all members? And because that's a really important one, isn't it? And then the other thing is, it has got to go to full council, doesn't it? So does that go then to full council in December? Okay.
So every scrutiny meeting is open to all members. Everybody can come along to any meeting. What we will do is promote it to say this is really important. You should at least watch it. You should come along if you've got questions, etc. So we will promote that one wider. Hopefully, you as members of the commission and on the panel can also promote it within your groups to encourage people to attend and to raise questions, etc. through you as panelists. So it's within your gift to encourage people to come along as well as us to promote it for you. So we will do that. And obviously, Tess will be looking at how we can engage as part of that consultation. We'll look at it and when we bring it forward for council to agree that we can go out to the consultation.
With that, is it possible to also have maybe, like we used to have in old days, a little bit of a timetable? Because I mean, Rex 18, then you have, 30 months before it goes on, etc., etc. So we normally used to have a timetable of actions. So that would be really greatly appreciated.
So I'll ask that, so the local development scheme, you're talking about the timetable there. So we can ask Tess to look at the local development scheme timetable as well as part of that scrutiny for you. That if there's any changes to that, it will go to cabinet as well. So it would be useful for scrutiny to perhaps look at that at the same time. I don't know how much detail there will be at that time, but I'll ask her to include that as part of it. Yeah. So an LDS update as well.
And while I'm at it, while you're asking her, there was also, because we put that on the last scrutiny plan, there was the communication protocol, which had to be looked at as, because when we did the local plan before, we had to have a communication protocol attached. And then Rachel felt was going to, amalgamate it with something else. And I see Councillor Ball nodding. So that needs to be somehow fitted in as well at one point, or go to scrutiny. I mean, I leave it up to you, but that seems to have dropped out and it needs to go somewhere back in.
Councillor Page, I believe that the consultation engagement protocol came to the 30th of March commission meeting.
Where?
The 30th of March commission meeting. Becky Oakley brought it. It's been discussed already.
That's it.
At the bottom of page 5.
It had been discussed at scrutiny and agreed.
But I wonder if that is the same, because that one was from Rachel Fowle. So
it transferred over from Rachel to Becky, so it was the same.
Okay, thank you.
Six, future scrutiny task and finish groups.
Yes, so just I've put some dates in there, and obviously the next scrutiny commission date is the 7th of March. It's in the timetable that we've already agreed. I've put in a potential for a second ad hoc scrutiny commission date, should you need it, if you've got any further, when you talk about the next report, if you wanted any further task and finish groups or anything creating, just something in there as a placeholder really, depending on what you decide you want to do as a scrutiny commission. But the 7th of March is the next meeting, so I've put in there a future of scrutiny task and finish group update should that be still required, but also the 7th of March we'll look at the future work plan, which is normally what we do around that time. So those task and finish updates are provisionally in place, just in case placeholders.
Are there any further questions from the members at all?
I'm happy to agree with the work plan.
Yes. Are we happy to agree the work plan that we've been through then?
Thank you.
Do we have to take a vote or we just?
No, that's fine. As long as you've said that you've agreed, that's fine.
Okay, so I presume then we can now move forward to item 5, that's correct?
Yeah.
So that is to consider the following report, which is the future of scrutiny arrangements. So on page 536.
If you'll be presenting.
If you would please, yes.
Okay, so I'll present this. Claire is online if we've got any further questions or clarifications that Claire needs to provide. So the report before you, I'm not going to go through it. I'm assuming that you've all had a chance to read it. It's basically saying that we still need to decide the future of the scrutiny function. There are some fundamental questions that still need to be answered. We've tried to engage with members. We haven't had a huge response to people's preferences out of the 34 single figures of responses. The fundamental questions that we perhaps need you to think about is, do you want the commission to still remain or do you want to get rid of the commission? Either way, do you want to have 2 panels or 3 panels, or do you want a different number of panels? And if you're going for 2 or 3 as the option, then we need to understand whether you want 2 or 3. If you want 2 or 3 panels, then we need to understand how you want them to be formatted. Do you want them to reflect the corporate priorities and the corporate plan? Do you want them to still remain communities and performance? Do you want them to have different names and remits in terms of reference? So those are the fundamental questions that we need answering. Obviously, what happens with what you decide impacts on the Constitution as well, because the scrutiny function is written throughout the Constitution. We need some guidance when we're rewriting the Constitution, and the Constitution Review Committee will need to know what you want to do and your guidance on the scrutiny function so that they can agree changes to the Constitution, and we can have a more, we can make sure that it's done throughout the Constitution rather than ad hoc. So that's pretty much what the report is saying to you. You still need to decide how you want to take that forward. Do you want to make decisions tonight? If you don't want to make decisions tonight, do you want to refer it on to council so that council can debate the scrutiny function and then they can vote on it? It's within your gift to give us direction on how you want to take this forward and how you want those decisions to be made.
I personally would like to actually start getting some sort of decisions going. But I'm open to questions from the floor, and Councillor Page is first.
Thank you. Now then, we've been here so many times and we're going round and round in circles. And personally, I would like to see a concrete decision being made here tonight. So I have the first question. So the first question for the records, if we make a decision here, do we still have to, has it still got to go to full council? If we make a decision here now, the implementation would be for May next year. So just to confirm that, I know that, but just for the record, because say, for instance, if we were to say at this particular moment, we want 6 panels, you know, then we would be having to follow the whole process all over. Yeah. So and I'm only putting that on the table because, well, for the sake of it. So, we've been here before. We had the CFGS in twice, and on page 7, they have made some very good, clear recommendation twice over. Now, personally, I would like to put on record that I am totally in favour with it, and if we can take them forward, I think that will be a really good step in the right direction.
Councillor Page, just for clarity, can you just say what you're asking to be taken forward?
Page 7, page 8, page 9, the recommendation from which should be the fundamental of the scrutiny function. However, if we're going then to page 10, it gives us future options for strengthening the overview and scrutiny function.
One moment, Councillor Page.
Just for clarity, because you're saying page 8, page 9, page 10, I haven't got my report.
Oh, sorry.
Into that there.
Okay.
So are you, if you just do the highlights of what you're talking about,
Okay,
in the
I will do.
sections.
Okay, so I would like to move that on page 10, 3.92, that we remove the scrutiny commission, bolster officer support for the scrutiny function, and retain 2 panels but increase the meetings. And that is my recommendation to go forward, and I hope I can get a seconder and we make it a recommendation to go forward so we have a clear steer and we stop going round and round in circles.
Thank you for the clarity on that. Councillor Bateman and then Councillor Dan after that.
Thank you, Chair. Most of what Councillor Page has said I agree with. I think we were right on the precipice of making a decision on this scrutiny future at the annual meeting, and then it got kind of pulled back from the brink. We've been round the houses over and over again about what we're going to do. I think I agree with Councillor Page. The Commission needs to go. While we all sit on here, it is at the end of the day a bit of a quango. We need the panels, 2 of them, to make the decisions. The chairman of the panels should make their decisions on the work plan as to what they particularly want to do on relating to their particular panel, whether it be performance panel and communities panel. Keep the name the same. Everybody knows what it means. If we start putting fancy names on them, no one's going to know what to do. If it's performance, pretty obvious it's looking at performance, and if it's communities, it's looking at things within the community. If you want to increase the number of meetings, I think that's a matter for perhaps full council to determine whether they feel there should be more meetings, whether there's a need for more meetings or not. But in essence, I'm happy to second Councillor Page insofar as let's remove the scrutiny commission, let's recommend to full council that we go to 2 panels. You can have a discussion tonight on the number of members you want to put on each panel, which I think would probably be an increase to get more engagement from the other members that don't get involved in scrutiny. But yeah, I'm happy to second that and allow it to go for future for more discussion around the brief. But we do need to get to a point, I think, if we want to get it in for May 24, we need to make a decision, preferably tonight, to get to council in either. I think it's too late to go to November's meeting, but probably get it onto December's meeting and get it forward, and get it determined. Thank you.
Just for clarity on the process, you would need to recommend to the Constitution Review Committee that they change the Constitution, and then the Constitution changes that removes the Scrutiny Commission function and looks at the way that the Scrutiny Commission, the scrutiny function is delivered, will be through the changes to the Constitution, and the Council will vote on whether they agree the changes to the Constitution or not. So there's a separate step to go change the Constitution to remove the Commission, which actually is quite a big job because it's throughout the Constitution. So you're quite right, Councillor Bateman, to get to May, we would need to have some steer early on about what we're going with it with the Constitution. But that would be the route. You make a recommendation, it goes to Constitution Review Committee for them to consider what they want to change in the constitution. They may agree or they may not, and then they make the recommendation on to council about what they feel is the change through constitution to do that.
And if I may put in again, the constitution meeting is, I think, next month. So in order for it to go, we have to make that decision. Also, we do need, if it goes to the constitution meeting, there have to be an awful lot of work being done. Besides removing the constitution, there are job descriptions for chairman, work plans, and the legal things. So I think the decision has to be made tonight to at least, as we just said, cut out the commission and do 2 panels, and then details can be put onto the onto the skeleton at the constitutional meeting.
Right, Councillor Dunn, I know you were next.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm in total agreement. As far as extra meetings are concerned, maybe we could just put a rider in if necessary, because we may not need them. So if necessary.
Personally, from my point of view, extra meetings on a provisional basis, that we don't waste officers' times and our times. I think it's a very good idea. Now, Councillor has been very patient. I know you've got something you must say.
Well, okay. My group have discussed this and thoroughly, actually. We've come up and I've put together a sort of letter, if you like, or etc. So I'm going to read that out, if that's okay, what my group thinks ought to happen. As a possible nominated chairman of one of the current scrutiny panels, I have looked to establish the consensus within the coalition on a way forward for the all-important scrutiny. It was clearly stated that it was the intention of the coalition that the status quo should prevail, and one of the first announcements the leader made was to confirm that the post of commissioner would be offered to the opposition. This with the clear knowledge on our part that this post is non-voting. This position of the 2 panels and the scrutiny commission is currently the current consensus of the coalition for now. Though we are open to look at alternatives looking forward, we felt it important that the scrutiny is fully operational and fully functioning. The work of any task and finish panels that are investigating possible variances for the future must run alongside and in addition to the regular committee meetings. Timing and the depth of consideration will be the major consideration. If changes to the scrutiny arrangements are suggested to be implemented before the next municipal year, it's reasonable to estimate signing off changes at the annual council in May 24. I accept this might be very tight, possibly too tight, especially with what has to be considered. The numbers of those needed consider the proposals and the differing committees involved. To get to the date, we need the Commission to decide what they would like to see, and if it requires a change to the Constitution, then a recommendation needs to go via the Consultation Review Committee for them to recommend to Council. Based on our dates already in the diary, it could be in this order. If on the 28th of the 9th 23 the Commission agrees that the review is needed, but with the current arrangements remain in place until any changes are agreed at Council, and that a work plan is agreed for the current panels in the meantime, then the Commission could continue with the task and finish in addition to the work plan, not instead of it. So as I pointed out above, both at the same time. Members of the Commission could propose and second this with it then being decided by the Commission on a major basis. Dates could be set September 23 to March 24, task and finish looking, and at options to recommend to the Commission. This could include looking at either councils and input from the new CEO. On the 7th of March, Commission meets to discuss findings from task panels and agree the options to take, including ongoing with the status quo. Should changes to the Constitution be needed, then a report could be sent to the CRC on 4th of April. Recommendations could then be made by the CRC along with any other amendments needed to May 24th annual council and new arrangements put in place or status quo confirmed. Because considerable time has been lost, May 24th might not be a realistic target date for any new arrangements and or recommended status quo. Should this be the case, then the Commission on the 28th of September 23 just needs to agree what will be the timeline for review. This will have an extended amount of time, ensuring we will have 18 months to look at everything and to finalise. From all the evidence, we could agree March 25th as Commission date for agreeing recommendations, then on to Constitutional Review Committee in April 25, leading naturally on to May the 25th Annual Council, with new arrangements for the 25th, 26th municipal year. If the later option is accepted, then though we work with the status quo work plan could be put in place and any training could be organised and completed ready in good time for the May 25th start. Thank you.
Councillor.
Some context around
Yeah,
it.
because Liz was.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm understanding this, what you're suggesting, Councillor Elliott, is that we maintain status quo with a commission and 2 panels until such time as it is changed, which is what we would do anyway. But the changes, instead of making a decision tonight and to take something forward, you're suggesting that the changes take longer and we consider them for a further period of time. The 2 options on that is we would normally change the scrutiny function at an annual council. So we could change it at May 24 or May 25. May 24, if we wanted to change it at May 24, we'd have to do quite a lot of work before that to get the constitution updated and to make those decisions. But it could be that those decisions are taken in a, not tonight, but in a future meeting is what you're suggesting. Okay. So I guess for clarity then, you're suggesting we don't make a decision tonight. We keep the status quo. We keep a task and finish group going to be determined as to when that task and finish reports back to the Commission on when it thinks the Constitution could be updated and the change to scrutiny function implemented either May 24 or May 25. Is that pretty much what you said? Okay, just for clarity, just thought I'd make that clear.
Okay. Thank you for that. I have got 3 people want to speak. Councillor Bateman, Councillor Page and Councillor James. Is that correct? Is there anybody else? No? Right, we'll start off with Councillor Bateman, please.
Thank you, Chair. There's 3 mics. I think Councillor Elliott's statement there is well versed and puts his points across well. I accept that the status quo was what was put forward at annual council by the current leader, and we're grateful for that from our side of it, with the commissioner being from our side. But I still maintain this has gone on long enough. We need to make a decision. We can get this to constitutional review. I think there's a meeting in January. I'm sure I just looked. There's one in January for the constitution. I think it's too early to get it to the 5th of October, which is fair comment. I mean, I would say that most of the work for the constitution has been done, because when we brought it before annual council, all the changes were there. We all had hundreds and hundreds of pages of track changes that Claire and her team put together to show us what the new constitution would look like with 2 panels and no commission. And I think just delaying it and just dragging it out for another 12, 18 months is just a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And it's an unnecessary thing to just keep the commission for the sake of keeping the commission. The 2 panels if we go away from the commission and down to 2 panels, will do the same job as they're doing now, just with potentially more members, but they'll still be doing the same scrutiny function. You're just taking out a layer of administration that actually does nothing other than sit here and tell the panels what they're going to look at. Why do we need to tell them what to look at? Surely that's a consultation between the chair of the panel and the senior officers as to what they're doing. So for me at this stage, I still support Councillor Page, who has proposed 2 panels and removal of the commission, and I'm happy to second that. Once the discussions are finished, I would call that to a vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman. I believe Councillor Page is next.
Well, Councillor Bateman said it all, but I would just like to add that whilst it's a very good proposal and second what John just said, but we've got to be mindful that when we said we're keeping the status quo, I believe it was set for a year and see how we go. And again, Amanda does. So if we're going down your route, we're talking status quo to Kingdom Come and probably till 25. And I was a scrutiny commissioner. I voted myself out of a job and a responsibility allowance because I simply think it is a talking shop, which is not necessary, because with the right background, with the right constitution, with job description for each chairman and certain powers for them, it can run very, very smoothly and far more efficient. We don't need this. And if you recall, we've all said, and I let this, that the money that can be saved by resources, by paying the scrutiny commissioner, we can possibly pay for an extra few hours for a dedicated resource. And I think it is a good way forward. And the other thing, and I'm not going to make an issue because we set our piece, we put our recommendation forward, but we've all went through this, and and that was every single one of you out of the old administration agreed to get rid of the commission. We've all agreed to all of this. And then we started going round and round again, wasting resources. And I, for one, feel that, you know, we've agreed to it and all of a sudden we're doing a huge U-turn. So rather than waffling on, I'll just stick with it. Let's vote on it and then see what comes out at the other end and give clarity to everybody. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Councillor James, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, I think I've made my views fairly clear in different directions, that I favour for a period of time the status quo. And I just want to say that when the administration changed, you know, I had discussions and was asked whether I would be happy with the present arrangements with the commission and the 2 panels. And also, of course, we said, and when we were in opposition, we talked about scrutiny sometimes, and we felt that, you know, rightly so, that we would keep to our word and we would offer the scrutiny commissioner, you know, to run the whole thing with 2 panels. And I was asked would I be happy with that, and I said yes, absolutely, I would be happy with that. And I've always thought we were going down that road. My eyes are always open to make change, but I felt that to run certainly until the end of the year, next year, you know, would be a good phasing to do it that way. And that's what I thought. And I still feel a bit that way as well. I am open to different views, but I think it would be, I mean, whether you had 2 panels and a commissioner still, or whether you feel need the whole commission, I don't know. But I prefer the status quo just at the moment, to learn a bit about it all and how it's going to operate, and to take time in making changes that we all might want to make. So that's just my view, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor James. Are there any further contributors? Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check that councillor Page was talking about 3.9.3 of the report, round about 3.9. It's on page 10.
Yes, 3.93, I think.
So you'd be suggesting reducing the number of panels from.
No. Let
me finish.
Sorry.
I was going to say reducing it to 2 panels without the commission. Would you consider? So you have said 3 panels at some point, haven't you?
Just now, I put forward 2 panels with the possibility of increasing and no commission.
Like you have said in the past, you felt there was too much work to do. But you're going to, yeah. And this would start in May next year. So we'd make the decision to get rid of the Scrutiny Commission today.
Yeah.
And then it would start in May,
Subject
subject to full council and all the voting, etc.
to going to full council. I believe that's correct, isn't it?
It would start in May.
It would go through constitution, wouldn't it, first, and then go to full council.
Yeah. So okay, so let's just. The Constitution refers to the Scrutiny Commission and it refers to scrutiny panels. It does not say 2 panels, 3 panels, 4 panels, whatever. It refers to scrutiny panels. So the main changes to the Constitution are required is to remove the Scrutiny Commission, all reference to the Scrutiny Commission, and whilst you might think it's just the Scrutiny Commission sits here and just does the work plan and this meeting, actually the Scrutiny Commissioner has a different role as well for late items, etc., to be put onto agendas. So there are other elements of the Scrutiny Commission role that will need to be considered about where that's delegated to as well. So if tonight, if nothing else, if tonight you can agree that all of you think, or the majority of you think, that the Scrutiny Commission needs to be removed and a number of panels to be decided and the structure of those panels going forward, we can make some significant progress. So we could take the Scrutiny Commission out tonight and then come back with how we want to structure the scrutiny panels at a later date. And you can make 2 decisions and you can put the decision to the Constitution Review Committee to remove the Scrutiny Commission. They can work on that. And actually, as I said, the Constitution doesn't refer to 2, 3, 4 or whatever panels, it just refers to panels. So we can make some of those changes. And then if you change the number of panels, the title of the panels, etc., then we can do that as a second iteration. But it's the majority of the work is taken out of the Scrutiny Commission from the Constitution. The panels, etc., is more light touch work on that. I think I might just need to double check with Claire that I'm not making light of no, she says it's fine, it's okay, that's it. So if tonight we can make that one decision on commission or not, at least we know where we're going with that, and then we can look at the number of panels, the constitution of the panels, the work plan of those panels, what they're called, the number of people, the number of meetings. That's more operational. We can discuss that at a later date.
Thank you for
and
that.
you can perhaps get your task and finish to do that. Yeah.
Can I just ask, I thought the proposal from yourself was to get rid of the Scrutiny Commissioner or Commission and to go to 2 panels.
Yes.
So that was your initial.
With the potential increase of which John agreed to look at.
Member,
Oh,
increase in members,
no.
increase in power,
Meetings.
meetings, right?
Yes.
So
That was.
am I right? That's what you want to stick with as your proposal, and that's what you're happy to second at the moment. Well, if there are there any further discussions that want to be?
Do you want to go to the vote?
Sorry, Chair.
I'd like to go forward to the vote. I think we've had quite a discussion. Can
I just add, the 30th, I think, of January would be the commission, the CRC, whatever it is, isn't it? So I haven't got my green card. Have we got a commission meeting before that? Because the panels and things, we could then have the commission meeting and work that out.
Okay, so that's why I put that to be confirmed date for January 24 in your work plan for the commission, in anticipation that if you needed one. Now, the dates that I've got are either the 11th and 12th of January or the 23rd and 24th, I think. So the 10th and so the 11th and 12th might be a good time to come back. One of those two, potentially, I can look at a date for you in January to put an extra commission meeting in, if that's what you would
And
want.
that is perfect, because then we can sit here, work the details out, then we can add the details to go to the CRC on the 30th. Yep, all good. I'm all happy.
I'd like to go forward to a vote on what we've discussed. I think we're fairly all clear in what we've discussed. Are we clear on both sides of what we've discussed? So, vote. Sorry? Those in favour of the proposal, beg your pardon.
So that's 7,
That's 7.
Yeah.
Any against?
1 against.
And I'll abstain.
Yeah, okay, so that's 7 for, 1 against and 1 abstention. Okay, that's fine. So if I may, Chair, I'll just say what we've done. We've agreed that we will get rid of the commission. That I shall look for some, do you want to get some more task and finish group dates in, so you can look at how the panels are structured, the number of people on the panels, the meeting frequency, the work plan, etc. And we can bring something back to a new commission date, 10th, 11th or 12th of January, with the proposal of how those panels are structured. But the decision tonight is to remove the commission and then to do some further work on how those panels are structured, the meeting dates, etc. Is that okay? That's everybody's happy with that? Perfect.
Okay.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Presumably then
Yep, yeah, that's
we
it.
go on to any urgent business. Now, I believe Councillor Bateman.
No, I only wanted to add that we should focus on implementation date for May
2020.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. I believe Councillor Bateman has something to say.
Thank you, Chair. With your permission, under any urgent business, I just wondered if the commissioner in his position would consider whether he feels it would be necessary or prudent or the right thing to do, which I do believe it would be, to have a scrutiny review by the relevant panel into the circumstances and all information and actions taken prior to and during the Light and Life event held at the showground, because I think it's important that lessons are learned from what happened with regards to that event and what happened prior to its taking place in the town centre with the lost business and the effects on the local economy, etc., and community tensions and community concerns. And I wonder whether you as Commissioner would consider implementing a full scrutiny review of actions and information known to the council, what we did, who we were told by, etc., etc., a full in-depth review of any lessons to be learned from what happened. Thank you.
So, yeah, as the scrutiny commissioner, as the scrutiny commissioner within the constitution, this commission agrees the work plan, which is why we talked about it earlier on. So if you've got a proposal and somebody to second it and you want to have a vote on it, I think it would be for the commission to decide the work.
Okay, so this proposal's gone forward, and therefore I ask for a second. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I believe it's a second.
And then we just need to sort of say whether we're.
Can I make a comment, or is that not?
You could, yeah, it's your commission. You could.
As commission, I feel that this is something that we haven't been able to discuss for council. I think it's something that we owe to our constituents and to the hard-working businesses, particularly the hotels and pubs that suffered greatly at the time. Now, I think it's reasonable to ask for a review of the circumstances that led up to it and what happened during it, and learn from the possibility that we make mistakes. From my point of view, I think this is a good idea, and I call for a vote of for the proposal or against both. For the proposal, can I have a show of hands, please? Any against? Abstentions? One abstention.
So 7 for, 1
And
abstention.
I'll abstain as well.
So that's okay, so that's carried. And what I'll do is it will need to go to communities scrutiny. And I will look at the work plan for that. Now, the community scrutiny, we won't get anything for the 11th of October because that's just too short notice. It's whether you wanted to put something else on with the Reg 18 for community scrutiny. That's the one that we've just said we want to invite all members along. It's key to planning. That's going to be a busy meeting. The next available one is March 24 for community scrutiny. So it's when you would get it in if you wanted to do that, because you've got the Reg 18 in November. I can't do it for October, and the next one is March 24. Yes. We moved it so that it would be ready for the 16th of November. So it's about workload for that scrutiny commission panel and when you would like it to go on to the work plan. Councillor James.
Councillor James?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think there is an urgency for this. You know, some of us town councillors were in the thick of this all the way through, with all sorts of things being said and being done. And of course, it's still going on. And a lot of the traders are very unhappy about the situation they found themselves in. So I just think the sooner we could do this, the better, quite honestly, to settle everything down. I regard it as quite urgent. Thank you, Chair.
So, and if I may just come into there, so you're allowed 2 task and finish panels as a scrutiny commission. We've got one already that's looking at the future of scrutiny. I could suggest if that might help that you create a task and finish panel to look at it, and the task and finish then can report back to maybe the November meeting, because it wouldn't be such a long and in-depth meeting. You would have a task and finish group that could look at it, or you could report back as task and finish to a different meeting. So maybe the suggestion of creating a task and finish to look at the issue and then report back to a future meeting will help you manage the workload and the agenda within that meeting. Just a suggestion.
As we had quite a large majority vote on this issue, I'm going to go back to Councillor Bateman, see what his views are on this.
Thanks, Chair. Well, I agree with Councillor James and his colleagues. You know, this is a matter that's been rumbling on, and it's got a lot of traction, and it's still, as Councillor James says, still creating a lot of problems for town councillors, etc. So I think if you invite all the members to turn up for the scrutiny panel that's going to look at Reg 18, that would be an opportune moment while all those members are there for the Reg 18 for them to hear what the scrutiny investigation has revealed in relation to the life event at the same time. So I would push for it to come to the relevant panel in November rather than us can finish, which will just delay it longer.
So if I may, to do that work that you want us to do, we've already done a lessons learned, we've done a debrief, we can present that to you by November. If you want us to engage with other stakeholders, if you want us to get the police to come along, if you want us to look at the showground operator, if you want us to look at other individuals that were involved with that, it will take more time because we have got to then manage their diaries and get information and have meetings about that. So it depends on the scope of what you want that review to do and who you want that review to engage with. Because if I'm honest, if we've got to do all that engagement with all those different stakeholders, the 16th of November will be a struggle for officers to bring something back to you. We've done our own debrief, but we haven't necessarily engaged with the others around what their debriefs were and the lessons learned. We've done something at a high level, which we can bring back easily to you, but anything more than a high level lessons learned will take time to develop and get officers to bring a comprehensive report for you. So it's knowing what you want, and then I can give you an indication of how long it will take and the capacity to deliver it for you.
Right, Councillor Page is on there.
Thank you. Not a question, a suggestion. Now, not a Harbour member, but I do see the importance of this, in particular because I did read all of the statements and none of them match and whatever. So I do think it needs a good scrutiny. However, I was looking at the work plan. It's either a task panel. Yes, because we've done it before, if you recall, where we've on the statement of common ground, where we've invited Willoughby and whatever, and, you know, do it in a formal setting and then, you know, report back, but it's up to you. But my other suggestion would be, if you don't like that, I mean, it is performance in a way, and our panels are very flexible. And light bulb, it is just an update. We don't actually have to scrutinise it. It's just an update where, you know, we've asked and whatever. Now, the light bulb can be, Elaine is very, very flexible on that, and the stuff is all there. It can either be moved up or down, or it could be in a briefing note. And you could put your thing in on the 7th, because then you have 2 items only on the 7th of December. Because the light bulb one, as I say, it's just a verbal update on the performance and things like that. And there's nothing we can change because it's all led by Blaby anyway.
I think the only issue there, Councillor Page, is it's whether it's fine.
It is December.
7th of December.
So
if I make a commitment to getting something on the 7th of December to you, it may not be as comprehensive as you would like, but it will be what we can deliver by the 7th of December through engagement with others. That's saying I cannot force those other partners to give me information about the lessons learned that they took. The police will have done a debrief on it. The traders will have had their own says of what they want to do. So it depends on the scope of it, about what you want to do. But the lessons learned that we have done, because we've already done that in-house, will be fairly easy to bring forward. But if you want to look at where other people were involved, what other people said, how they performed, that would be more tricky because I have no control over getting information from them or getting them to contribute to that review. So I'll do what I can by the 7th of December for you to that panel, and we'll bump light bulb into a members briefing note. But I just want to manage your expectations of what you are likely to see. It may not be as comprehensive as you think you want.
Councillor Bateman, is that acceptable?
Yes, that's fine, Commissioner. I mean, at the end of the day, if the panel's not happy with what they presented, and all due respect to Liz, if the panel's not happy with what they presented or they want more information, they can ask for us on the night, can't they? In which case, bring forward what you can. I mean, whether you want to speak to the police, whether you want to speak to the other agencies, or whether we're asking for it to be a review of what we did, what we knew, how we dealt with it, how we broadcast it to the public, to try and alleviate the tensions and the community issues that happened, and the mass closures, well, overstatement, the closures of social businesses, etc. That's, for me, that's more important. It's not for us to review what the police did, and it's certainly not for us to review what other agencies have done. That's their business. It's not for me to say what the police should do or any of us, but it is for us as members to hold the authority to account as to what we as an authority did by way of what our officers have done acting on our behalf for the residents of this district. Thank you.
Okay, so just for clarity then, the report that you want is the a review of what actions Harbour District Council officers took, what their decision made that they made were, and any lessons learned that we took from that. We don't want anything about what the police did or said, what the showground did or said, what anybody else did or said. Just purely how Harbour District Council's officers' actions, their decisions, and the lessons we learned as Harbour District Council, without involving any other stakeholders' actions at all.
I think we already know what the police have said. We've seen Rupert Matthews, PCC's letter as to what the police, and that's all you're likely to get from the police. unless you think you get more from the old local LPU commander, and I don't think you will from previous experience in my previous life. So, I think it's what we did. That's what we're concerned with. Unless other members have got a different point of view, it's what we did and what the timelines were involved in how we did it, and what we did or didn't do.
Well, we've got Councillor Boral first, then Councillor James, and then Councillor Gare.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest perhaps the Scrutiny Commission could take this one in January. Want to? Give a bit of time to
Councillor Baker,
work on
did you
it.
hear what Councillor Boral said?
No, I didn't. I do apologise.
Saying perhaps the Scrutiny Commission can take this one. Because
And then
we've got a
leave
meeting in
January.
January.
And leave like
It would give the officers more time to work on it. There isn't much involved. We have
Look,
got some.
it's not- It's not for me, I'm not a harbour member. And it is up to you as harbour members to decide what you want to do. And I'm happy to go along and vote for whatever you, I agree with the principle of looking at it. But the 7th of December to me is a far better day than January again, because it is fairly empty agenda. You can look at it and you're doing it this year. If you're pushing it into next year, you know, at least you've got something for the residents to go on. But it is up to you, so you decide.
Councillor Page, could I just remind we have a queuing system, so if you wouldn't mind. Councillor James.
Yes, I just say again, there is some urgency. I'm attracted to what Councillor Page says. If we start something within this year, the real issue that remains is there's so many misunderstandings, I think, and misinterpretations of what's gone on. The police have been quite clear. They've made a very full statement. But the issue we've got around us is there's lots of ill feeling with the traders. You know, some of it's directed towards our council, probably wrong, because there were so many agencies involved in this. But I think it does need settling down, and it's really the traders who are expressing the most concern in terms of however it all happened, the business that they lost. And I think the sooner we look at this and, you know, bring some conclusions out and bring the real facts out, the better. So I do support, if any way we can, is to start this on the 7th of December. I support that very much.
Councillor Gare.
Thank you, Chair. If this is going to be useful, then presumably it will produce a plan for future actions when something similar to this, and it was a unique event, how we would react then. If we're going to do that, I think it's essential that we have the views of the other people who were involved, and I wouldn't rush it. I mean, the chances of us having something similar to this before January, I would say, are fairly remote, or I would touch wood there. So I think it's best that we do it thoroughly, properly, get all the right information and people together, and therefore I would support a slightly later date. I'm not familiar with how scrutiny works. It's all new to me. I've only been to one meeting before, but I would recommend waiting and getting all the information we can together, give the executive a chance to pull all that information together.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Rick.
I would tend to actually agree with Councillor James and Councillor Bateman, purely and simply because at the moment all that angst and worry from the traders and everything else is very present. And it seems that if we take it too far back, then we're actually delaying it and actually causing even more anxiety from them that it's not being dealt with in a faster manner. So I'd say stay with December.
I might also add as chair that it almost gives an impression we don't see it as a priority. And I think if I was someone who owned a business in Harborough last June time or whatever, I would think it would be a pretty good priority for our council to deliberate on. So from my point of view, the earlier meeting would be better for me, but it's for you as a committee to decide what you want to do. Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Chair. Then I formally move that this is brought forward to the performance panel on the 7th of December, and the light bulb update is just a members briefing note, and it's brought forward at that point. Thank you.
Councillor Rickland.
I'd second that.
Okay, so we have a proposal and a seconding. Can I have a show of hands who are all in favour of it? Against? Abstentions? Just myself, first chair. So, is there any other urgent business? See, no. With that, the time is 10 to 8, and the next meeting of the commission is held on Thursday, the 7th of March, I believe. And I thank you for a very robust conversation tonight. And I think we've actually moved things forward. So well done. Thank you.
Yeah.
My pleasure, Chair. Well, with that, I'll close this meeting.